love the eyes. I love the concept of helping people be able to see. I mean, myself, I am blind. I'm standing there holding that Viking helmet with the horns on it. All the VAs were out there cheering, and then they'd all come and unload your vehicle and drop everything off in your room. What if I don't get along with my roommate? I hope everything's here. Most of my friends were international students. I think really you guys just inspired me a lot, and I admired all of you. And then I did the study abroad. I went to Greece, went to Spain. My internship happened to be at the Cathedral Segovia. I always thought you were kind of cute and I started flirting around. My biggest regret was that I was so studious. As much as I hated homework and my procrastination skills were off the chart, I often find myself wishing that I could go back to school, if not just to meet people and learn new things.
Welcome back to college. I'm your host, Zach Stevenson, and today in the classroom we've got our very first American guest. With Mexican and Maltese in her blood, this person was not shy hanging out with international students. Following her sense of adventure, she did 2 study abroad trips to both Greece and Spain, each unlocking new perspectives you simply can't learn in a classroom. Officially finishing with art and Spanish as majors, with an entrepreneurship minor, this person decided to further her studies after Augustana. She obtained a certification in kitchen and bathroom design, which has helped her land her current role as a design assistant at a design build firm. Calling from the land of 10,000 lakes, Minnesota, don't you know? Please welcome Sofia Preciado. So, Sofia, I'm interested to know about what the college culture was like, because you are from the US, and I guess because a lot of people on this show I've been talking to come from overseas, but being a local American, I'm curious to know what that whole college culture was like, and particularly for you in the Twin Cities in Minneapolis, St. Paul.
The college culture.
Mm-hmm.
Way to start off with a heavy question. Okay.
We don't mess around.
College culture. Well, let me back up a little bit and I'll explain why I chose Augie over a different school. Maybe that might help explain some of it. But I had a couple options for my schooling. And I know I wanted to go to a smaller school so that I could have a more personal relationship with my professors. I didn't want to just be a number in the classroom, which was something that you could easily get at like the U of M. I wanted a school where I didn't feel like I was getting lost on campus all the time. But I also wanted a school that would provide me with plenty of opportunities to be able to meet new people and explore options that I might not have had if I hadn't gone to higher education. I'd say something about the college culture. One thing that a lot of people think when they think of college is full-time partying. There was definitely partying, but not as much as some people might believe. I mean, there are places where you can, but the nice thing that I liked about Augie was that there weren't serious sororities or sorority clubs or anything like that that would detract from my education. So I was fairly serious about my education, and that's why I chose a school that had a nice Christian background and place where I had opportunities to meet people like you.
Yeah, fantastic. It's interesting you say, yeah, we didn't have at Augie all the big frat parties and the massive frat mansions and all that stuff that you see in the movies. It was a bit more low key, which I think in many ways was, I think, probably a good thing. And we're not
Definitely
particularly
beneficial.
we're not particularly party people either, so I think it was kind of good that we could go to a few, but I mean, yeah, there was plenty of other things to do and plenty of other opportunities to have fun. And just to pull that apart a bit more, I'm curious to know, what were a lot of your friends from high school going to college? Was there maybe influence from your family, like this is just what you do? Did you kind of always think you were going to go to college?
I always knew I was going to go to college. Both my parents strongly believed in higher education. My mom's family pushed for that, and my dad was the first in his family to get a higher education as well. And so they strongly believed that it was one way to success, not that they would have frowned upon me if I had chosen not to. Um, but I think they really appreciated that I wanted to as well. Um,
Yeah,
what
good.
was your other question?
Well, like, was everyone else from your high school going to college? Was that just the normal thing to do? The
My
assumed
high school
path?
friends. Well, a lot of my friends in high school also came from affluent families that believed in higher education. I think that was with most of the kids in Mountains View. I think they all wanted to better themselves and pursue higher education. A lot of my friends stayed local. Quite a few of them actually went to the U of M, but some of them went to Mankato. Um, some of them, few of them left state, like Iowa. Uh, but I think the group mentality of like, yeah, my friends are going to go to college. It just was like a natural piece of the puzzle for me, another step in my journey. I don't think there was ever a time that I was like, I don't want to go to college.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
terrific. Um, were there other
and
colleges that you almost went to? Because I guess you had the luxury of doing some visits, whereas a lot of us just, put the finger on the map and that's where we were going to go. We are going to hope for the best.
eeny, meeny, mighty, mo, yeah. No, I had quite a few options. Being where I was, there were a couple schools that I think it came down to three schools in the end. One was Bethel, which is where my mom teaches. And the other one was
And I've been to Bethel
River.
too. I kind of because yeah, your mum taught there, and just over some of the breaks, I was at your place and we went to there, and it's a beautiful kind of enclosed college because it's all like in the bush, and it's quite beautiful.
It's got that lake, and you can't get in unless unless you're swimming through the lake.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I guess that kind of stacks up even more as to why you didn't go there. Because of your
Why didn't
mum?
I go there? No, I get along great with my mom most of the days, you know. um, for me, it was I wanted to go to a college and explore myself. I didn't want to be a 15-minute drive from my house every day. I didn't. I wanted to, start growing up and being independent a little bit, which is a tiny bit ironic because I live at home now. Again,
Hey,
it's
so do
fine.
I. It's
I
all
love
good.
it.
Got the
This is
podcast
true.
studio in
Um,
the bedroom. It's all good.
but I also wanted to go to a school that was not too far away from home. So when I looked at my three options, I said, well, this one's only a 4.5 hour drive away. I can manage that. It's close enough where I could drive up for holidays and special occasions, but far enough away where I wasn't going to be expected home every weekend. Um, I think one thing about Augie that I really liked was that it had a city around it. It wasn't in the middle of a cornfield, and that was one of my big determinators
I
as
know I might have a
well.
different opinion on that. I mean, yeah,
Hey,
so
Concordia, Nebraska was a close one, and that was cornfield.
yeah, Nebraska definitely more so than Sioux Falls. Um, and so you've spent even before Augie, you spent a bit of time in Sioux Falls because you have some family there.
Oh, my mom grew up in Sioux Falls, and we used to drive back to Sioux Falls about once a month to visit my grandpa when he was there. Um, I got an uncle, two uncles there actually. I got family there and close people that I enjoy talking to. So it was kind of like a secondary home, I guess. Not like home, but
Yeah.
a place I didn't mind going to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, it seems like you made the right choice in the end. And so
Obviously.
that's yeah. What did you want to get out of college? What were your kind of goals that you had going in?
My goals. Um, well, I started Augustana with a biology major
Really?
and a Spanish and art minors.
Okay. And how did
That
that turn out?
that's not what I graduated with.
Well,
I
yeah.
had goals of being an optometrist.
Did you really?
I did. I did. I loved the eyes. I loved the concept of helping people be able to see. I mean, myself, I am blind. I need contacts and visual aids. So I was one of the ideas for me in finding a career would have been a job that helps people and makes life easier for others. And I was like, what better way to do that than to go into optometry and be an eye doctor? Because at my church there was one of my friends, his father was an optometrist, and I got to see him do that, and he did mission trips as well, and I was like, oh my goodness, that's so amazing. But halfway, most the way through freshman year, I'm like, I cannot stand another chemistry class for the life of me. I am going to expel my brains if I take another chemistry class. And don't get me wrong, I loved biology. I still like biology. It's just the chemistry courses I couldn't pull it.
Yeah. No,
And
I
so I ended
understand
up switching
completely.
my majors. What?
I was before I even got to Augie on the on my application forms I put down that I was going to be a chemistry major, and don't know why I did that
Oh dear.
because before I even got to Augie I had already switched and I switched over to sports science because I thought no, that's probably more in my lane, more up my alley. So I get the whole
More
chemistry thing.
enjoyable.
Um, a question I like to ask, which I find good to reflect on personally, what was arriving day like? What was that journey from home? Because it would have been different for you because I guess being in only a 4 hour drive away, you could probably load up the car with all sorts of stuff. Whereas a lot of us just had, a backpack and a suitcase and that was all we were coming with. So
For
just
sure.
take me back to that day where you're leaving home off to college.
Leaving home, mother wanted as many pictures as possible.
Of course.
So, like a full photo session in the driveway after car, was it the van back then? I think it was the van.
Really?
Packed. We just had it packed. Um, there's one picture that I like. I'm, in the acceptance package from Augie, they had like a little paper Viking helmet with the horns
Oh,
on
yeah.
it and
Yeah, yeah.
everything. And I was standing there holding that and just like leaning against this full vehicle.
That's so cheesy. I feel
Oh,
like that sort of what do you call it? It's not patriotism, but like the college culture itself with all the yeah, we got sent the little Viking hats that we could take pictures with it. I feel
and
like
the little
nowhere else in the
confetti in
world
the bus.
gets so behind their college like the US people do. Crazy. Even on day one before you've even
College, bro.
gone.
Let's spend our money.
Yeah. Yeah. So you took your photos and then what happened? You hit the road?
We hit the road. I do not remember much beyond that. Just another very long drive. I probably fell asleep, to be honest. I fall asleep when I hit the road in general.
So
Kind of dangerous.
who'd you go with?
I think both my parents. Pretty
Yeah,
sure.
that's lucky.
Yeah. Mom and dad.
And then what happened when you pulled up? What were you feeling? Were you
Right.
excited?
What did happen? No, I was very anxious. I was like, what if I don't get along with my roommate? Oh my God, there's so much motion going on here. I just, can I come back another day? And all the VAs were out there like cheering, and then they'd all come and unload your vehicle and drop everything off in your room. And you're like, I hope everything's here.
Yeah.
um,
Well, yeah, I find that funny
so
because um, a lot of us international students, we came the week before the bombard of all the American
did
students. So we remember that move-in day when, because it was all nice and quiet, we'd all kind of just settled into our dorm rooms. Often, a lot of us didn't even have roommates yet. And then all of a sudden, there's just truckloads of Americans pulling up
yeah,
to the curb and with boxes full of crap, like
a
getting
line of
couches and all
vehicles
sorts of
around the
stuff up the
corner.
dorms.
Yes. I was in Berg Soccer Hall
Mm-hmm. As was I.
on the second floor. I remember getting in there into my room and just trying to figure out where I'm gonna put things. And this is where I met Nishma. Nishma was my VA
Yeah.
from Mauritius. And she comes to the door. I could not understand a word that came out of her mouth. She was so soft spoken. And I was like, could you repeat that? And she said it again. We're like, oh, okay. And then she leaves. And I just look at my parents and we're like, what's she saying? Because I couldn't hear her. She was like whispering, I swear.
Yeah, she's such a gentle, kind person. Who
Sweetheart. I
which
love Nishma. Nishma was a great friend.
yeah, yeah, later on became, yeah, she was very much integral part of yeah, sort of not our friendship group, but yeah, as just someone that we could always call upon, duck in, and obviously being your
Well,
hall
she was a
monitor as
key
well.
figure in like the international group.
Yeah, iconic. We'll have to get her on at some point.
Yeah, you let me know if you do.
Yeah. Um, I'm just gonna open it up. Was there anything? Do you remember much else about maybe Welcome Week or those first? Was there anything that stuck out to you that you were scared of or you thought was super exciting?
They did a lot of things in Welcome Week to make us feel like it was gonna work out, and their strategy worked. Um,
What do you mean by that?
it worked. As in, like the first day after all the chaos and everything, I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. This is just so much going on. How am I supposed to sit down and focus on anything? Um,
It's very full
I
on.
and the homesickness starts to set in a little bit, and you're like, I kind of second guessing myself here. But then there are all the activities and I think where they are FYS groups, um, bonding with people. It made it seem like I can do this. Things are calming down. This is fun. There's going to be activities for us to participate in, and there's going to be plenty of time to focus on school. Um,
But
what
yeah,
else
that's
happened in
interesting that
love?
you have because I think, well, just reflecting for me personally, my goal wasn't like my number one goal was basketball. It wasn't to, be an academic study and all that. But I think Augie is a very prestigious college and it takes its academics very seriously and it's great professors, great classes, great programs. Um,
Good.
was there a favorite class that you had?
Not chemistry.
Definitely not chemistry.
Um, well, huh, going off of I used to be a biology major and then I wasn't a biology major. I think part of that was because I was an art major and I always have loved art. I mean, that might sound a little cliche, but I really, really have. And so my favorite classes are probably my art classes. As for favorite professors, probably my FYS class. Dr. O'Hara, solid 10 out of 10. One of my favorite professors ever.
Yeah,
Think
what was so good about him?
I don't know. I feel like he really understood like the students and he gave everybody like a fair shot. It wasn't just like, "Oh, you can't do this." Well, that sucks. It was, "Oh, you can't do this. Well, let's figure it out. Why not? Or is there a way around this?" Um Very understanding. I felt like he was really engaged with what he was teaching, even if it wasn't like his main subject per se. Um, I just felt like he really was able to make me enjoy my class. I think that's it.
Yeah. And then turning that one, what was your least favorite class? Was it a chemistry class?
Probably.
Did you?
I'd say
Oh,
math in general, but
because
I
if
don't
you
think I took
only,
math until sophomore year.
oh right, yeah, I think yeah, not many people seem to like. Yeah, I think was that math 140.
I have no idea.
Oh, it was the
Quantum physics.
yeah, I don't know. There yeah, a lot of people said that yeah, that even just that basic math class. I think because I took a different one, but everyone said that like even that foundational math class was it seemed to be so much harder than all the stuff that I was doing, but I don't know. I had some calculus class that I did in high school, so it was kind of just revision for me. Um you
Correct.
did study abroad. Could you talk about that? What that experience was like?
I've had a couple opportunities to study abroad. I know I did with Dr. O'Hara, a group of students over spring break. We did a quick little thing and we went to Greece. Um, that was my first adventure out of the United States, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Was that freshman year?
Um, yes,
Yeah. Yeah,
maybe.
okay. And then yeah, because I remember you went to Greece and then did you do was it a year in Spain? Or 6 months?
Did. Well, it was a semester abroad.
Yeah. Which so that
So,
was that sophomore year? Must have been.
have
Happened
been
at some point. It's hard. It is hard to remember. Like that's I'm trying
I really
to like my mind
don't
works kind
know.
of piecing it in a timeline, but yeah. Well, it's well yeah we'll talk about the Greece. What sort of things? What was that program that you did in Greece? What were you studying?
I wish I could tell you a lot more details. I just know that I loved it.
Well, because
um,
it is
one
study
thing,
abroad, not just go on holiday to Greece for spring break.
well, that's just what it was. It was a study in Greece. Like we were, every place we went to before we went, we'd do our research on it so that we as individual students could present to our fellow classmates about where we were going. And I think that was wonderful because it gave us so much more of a connection to where we were versus just like going there and having the tour guide explain everything to you. Is like, yeah, okay, wonderful. That's pretty nice. But no, like actually doing our research, knowing the history. Um, I think it had to have been some sort of theology based class,
Yeah, of
I
course.
guess.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you learnt lots from that.
History.
But you had a
I
good time, so that's
did.
the main thing.
I
And then
did.
what about Spain?
Spain, my semester abroad. Well, it was interesting. I went to Spain and I got to live with a host family. They were a very lovely family. Nice couple, three daughters, only two of them lived at home.
You had to speak plenty of Spanish.
Did I speak plenty of Spanish? Not as much as I should have, I admit. And I still need a lot of practice. um, but we did take classes. We didn't work directly with the school in Segovia, which is where we were stationed. Um, but we had our classes provided through Bethel. So my semester abroad wasn't actually through Augustana, it was through Bethel
Right.
because they had a really well-known program in the Spain where they set us up with internships and everything that we needed. My internship happened to be at the Cathedral Segovia, and I think I learned a lot more there than I did anywhere else. Like, definitely not in the classrooms, but more just being in a place like that with a lot more history and different people coming through. A lot of the kids in that semester abroad were either going to be teachers in the future or were Spanish majors or minors. I at that point had already become an art major, so I was not looking at the same internships that a lot of them were. Some of them were in like schools and were helping with the teach the classes a little bit here and there. I felt very fortunate to be placed in the cathedral. It was the first. Nobody else in that course had ever been interned at the cathedral before.
Oh, right.
And it was really fun. Like they had like a little museum portion of it. Like, look at this. This is really old and this is
Were you
the
the tour
basic.
guide?
But I did help with the tour guide. So the Cathedral of Segovia actually once upon a time had the tallest spire in all of Spain, but a fire tragically burnt it down. You know, normally a fire in a cathedral spells the end of the cathedral. Like people are like, that's fire damage, dangerous, bad, the end, done. But the people of Segovia loved their cathedral so much, and the Pope actually came and visited, and he saw how much the people loved it. So I believe he contributed a little bit to the rebuilding of the spire. So, or bell tower, I should say. Um, and that bell tower was saved and rebuilt. Not as tall as the original, but still pretty dang tall. And they did have one of the original bells that survived the fire and didn't get damaged, um, hanging up there as well.
Right.
Um,
That's pretty cool. That's a
Something else.
pretty robust cathedral then to survive a fire and still live on.
Uh, yes, and it was actually the last Gothic cathedral that was built in Spain.
Oh, was it really? There you go. You get the all the good experiences. So
At least that's what I was told. I mean,
so why? Because you were an art major. So why did you go to Spain? Because did you get art credits for doing that?
no, I got Spanish credits
Yeah. And so, because Spanish,
because I
did
was
that
a
end up
Spanish major.
being a minor or was that a major for you?
My Spanish is a major.
Yeah.
I majored in Spanish and art. Um,
So
yes.
why Spanish? We know that you love your art, but why? Well, where did this Spanish thing come from?
My mom's a Spanish teacher, and my dad's Mexican, so I should be able to speak Spanish, but I can't.
So did you do any Spanish before you got to Augustana?
Oh, yeah, I did Spanish in middle school and high school, and Spanish in college, and then I did the study abroad, and I came back and I did more Spanish. Um, got the major, but for some part of me wanting to study abroad also came from my mom. She's a pretty big inspiration in my life. She lived abroad for a while, and I always admired her for that and the stories she told about when she was abroad in different places. And I think I wanted to have a different experience that was not wholly American.
Yeah.
And I saw Spain as the perfect opportunity. One, because I could practice my Spanish. Two, because um, the the program, I knew that it was in Segovia, and I always found Segovia a little interesting with its history. And I just took that opportunity to learn a different part of the world, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think that's very important, especially from someone coming from the Midwest. A lot of our classmates that we had at college, many of them had only ever been to like the next state across. So I think you did extremely well to be able to go to a couple of different countries and experience some different cultures. And I'm pretty sure still to this day those people who just love their own hometown, a lot of them probably still haven't even left, which I think is honestly quite sad because there's a lot to explore in the world and a lot to experience.
Both. There's so much, and I still want to experience so much more. But we'll see where life leads.
Yeah. So switching gears a little bit, do you remember much of what happened after you came back from Spain? Because it felt like you were gone forever. Felt like you did a couple of years there, but it was only 6 months, a semester.
Yeah. What was the first time of that
Or
question?
what was it like readjusting?
Oh, I fit right back in. I didn't have any issues. I think the readjustment issue came with jet lag and being tired. And I guess I missed a couple things about Spanish culture that the United States did not have. Um, Such as siestas, midday, everybody take a break, go home, do whatever, take a nap.
Yeah.
I would go home and take a
Well, I
nap.
think the naps we pretty much adopted those at college too. That was a pretty common thing.
It's essential. I
um,
really missed it. I thought it was phenomenal. I was like, why don't we have like standard across the board naps? This is just not right. But that's besides the point. I can live without naps. I think one of the biggest things that I missed was tapas, which is when you can go out, get a glass of wine, and just like some little treats, little snacks here and there, just some calamari or fried potatoes, or I don't even know what it was, but it was really good.
just
It
really
looked
good
like a
on a
mini
plate.
egg roll, but it wasn't.
Yeah, it sounds so good. We
I think,
need a bit more of that in the American diet, I think.
but I mean, they were open up late at night. It wasn't just like everything closes at 8, 9, you're done. It was like it was part of the party culture a little bit, with their discotecas and clubbing, and just go out, have fun. But part of that was that led me to my alcohol tastes. I am probably more of a wine person than a lot of my fellow friends are. They're like beers or sweet drinks. And I think being in Spain, they're a wine culture,
hmm
in my opinion.
Yeah.
And like living that, like even my host family, they're like, yeah, glass of wine, there we go. And it's just like you learn to appreciate it a little bit more.
Ah, so that's where all that alcohol comes from. I get it
Became
now.
an alcoholic. No.
Now I'm an alcoholic.
That's the biggest thing.
So, well, I'm going to ask this question. What was, if you could give your experience at Augie a letter grade, what would it be?
Overall, or just like a small part of it.
Overall, that whole experience, what would you give it?
Okay, A plus.
Really?
I suppose we could downgrade it to like a normal A.
So, what made it so good? A plus.
That's a lie. I was gonna say I didn't have to work, but I did have jobs. I don't wanna. I think, just every day I got to see my friends. I got to see you guys. That I was always learning something, and I think knowledge is really power. And the more you know, the better off you are, the better person you can be. And as much as I hated homework and my procrastination skills were off the chart,
Can
I
confirm.
think that Thanks. um, just being in a culture that promoted learning and community was something that really resonated with me. I often find myself wishing that I could go back to school, if not just to meet people and learn new things.
Yeah. Well, it's obvious that you're a learner. When you say you guys, who are you talking about when you say you guys?
All my international friends. Just kind of funny. Most of my friends were international students. I did have a few US based friends, such as Grace and Camille, but my international friends were my core group. It was Mika, you, your brother, Sawad, Kevin, Aaron. I mean, we didn't really hang out with Andrew so much near the end, but in those first few years, he was pretty tight with all of us.
Mm-hmm. And so I'm curious,
Just
why do you think that is? Why? Because I mean, pretty early on, we'd formed our friendship group pretty quick because we were just the first people that we kind of met, and we didn't really know anyone else, and we'd come from all sorts of different countries. But then I don't
okay.
know, how do you think you slotted in? What attracted you to us?
I sneaked my way. Did I sneak my way into your group? I invaded your posse. Um,
Do you not
let's see.
like?
How did this
Do you feel
happen?
like international students are easier to get on with for some reason? More interesting, maybe?
Oh, for sure, interesting. No, I think what happened is knowing Nishma and Mika from FYS, off the bat, I was able to just like sit with a lot of international students and hearing about where they came from, it really did interest me. And I love hearing about other people. I just like seeing the differences. And it was really incredible to me about how wonderfully fluent a lot of the international students were in English.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you are incredible. You are rock stars because I can barely speak English.
Yeah,
So
that's what I was thinking. Like, how are these people know more about the English language than me?
I know. I remember we'd have debates in school. We'd be sitting there at like the lunch table and we'd be like, whoa, but we're some of them. It's just like words and we're arguing about words. We're like, no, this is what this means. And then like they'd turn to me, like the American, and be like, isn't this what this means? I'm like, I don't really use that word.
Well, I think, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to start this podcast is because, like, the amount of incredible people, like both based in the US, but also coming from overseas, people have big aspirations. They're really switched on, and they're really highly driven to, really make a difference and have go deep into their careers, whatever that may be. I think it was.
I think really you guys just inspired me a lot and I admired all of you so much. Just the courage to come to a different country to study was amazing. And then also I liked being with the international group because then I'd get invited to the international parties and I'd get to try the international food.
Oh
And I was
yes,
obsessed.
yeah, just a
I
mix of
didn't
all
really have to
sorts of
try too
cuisine.
hard. Nisha would bring me food anyways, but
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah. Just
fun.
the all the different foods. Like you get some good flavor from South America. You'd get some African food, just all over Asian food, because everyone was craving their. Because a lot of people don't particularly like the food in the US, so everyone got kind of homesick of all their own food. So always
Yeah,
lots of yummy food going around being cooked up.
for sure. That was fun. Good times, good times.
Absolutely. Now, I was going to ask you, we dated for a little while during college,
We did.
and
Mhm.
I'm very interested to know about how that whole thing unfolded for you because we were friends for the first couple of years, and then in our junior year somehow that things changed, and then we ended up in a relationship.
Yeah.
So, like, why? How do you think? I mean, obviously something kind of sparked up. Do you remember any? Were there any moments or something that kind of put us on that trajectory?
No, no, yes, no. I always thought you were kind of cute, and I liked how you were in sports. I love talking to you. You always were willing to engage with me, like wholeheartedly. You're like, yeah, you talked to me a lot. We started flirting around in those later years before we started dating. Um,
I
I
think.
don't know.
Well,
I guess I just liked you. I can't really say, oh, it was because of this. I liked you. Everything about you. It was just kind of
well, thank you.
spontaneous.
That's very kind of you. I think that's funny because, well, I mean, by that point, I wasn't playing basketball. My career was over. Which
I
obviously,
know.
like, that doesn't define a person, but was no
But you
longer
still
the
loved sports.
true. Yeah, I mean, I got into volleyball in the later years of college, so that was good fun. I do
Okay.
remember because actually, let's backtrack even a little bit more. I kind of, and this was only looking back in hindsight that I've kind of put the pieces together, but an interesting moment that I feel like started that sort of shift from maybe like a friendship to um, like more of a partner or a relationship was I was on a trip with um, Max had flown in from his college, um, and we met up in where was it, New Orleans, and I'd gone with Nauki and Zawad down there. I remember sending you, and you by this point you were in Spain. You're well into your 6 months over there, um, and there was just at our Airbnb. We're at this um, Airbnb in New Orleans, and there was actually some sort of painting on the wall. I wonder if I have a photo of it because I sent it to you because it was your name, Sophia, written out, and a lot of Sophia's are spelt with a PH, but yours is with an F, and this painting just happened to be spelt with an F. So I just sent it to you, just like as a casual friend, like, oh yeah, I was thinking of you, like obviously because there's a painting here. But then I remember, I'm pretty sure it was Naoki said something. He just kind of arced up a bit, like, ooh, like what's going on there? And I was like, bro, like nothing's going on. What are you talking about? But then I feel like that somehow that must have had an effect moving forward. I think. Um,
Started your brain in that trajectory.
Must have. But I also, because for the first couple of years, I wasn't interested in a relationship with anyone because I was just so focused with basketball. That just was not something that I was willing to put any time or effort into. I think obviously
Mhm.
after my demise after sophomore year, I yeah, obviously had a bit more free time. And I think after when you were coming back after you yeah, because you came back after your time away, I feel like it was just kind of seeing you in a new light, I guess. So, is there anything else you remember as things sort of started to progress through? Because I have a few things that I can touch on, but I'm interested to hear about from your perspective.
My perspective. Well, really pulling on brain strings here. I'm trying to remember anything right now.
Yeah, we're trying to get to the good
Um,
stuff, the interesting stuff, the real conversations.
I'm trying to think of interesting things. I live a pretty mundane life. Um,
Well, how
let's
about this?
see.
I there was another time. This was when you were back on campus at Augie, and there was a few of us in who gathered in Max's room because he was now at Augie. Bang! Surprise, he showed up. But it was like Max. I think Tom was there, probably Zawad, maybe even Naoki as well. But I remember I was sitting on a chair and you were just playing with my foot. Like you were just, I don't know, tickling it and weird sort of
Let's
thing. And I
see.
didn't, again, I didn't really think too much of it at the time. But then I think I went away later on and I was talking to Tom about it. I was like, bro, what the hell was that about? And he's like, dude, she likes you. So I think, again, that for me, I feel like was kind of the step with sort of, yeah, I was like, okay, yeah, I like this girl now. Now I want to hang out with her a bit more and, yeah, in, I guess, bit more kind of, yeah, in an exclusive way, I guess. More as like
Mhm.
a partner rather than just a friend.
Well, I guess I could say I went into college not necessarily looking for a relationship either. But I saw you, I liked you, and started hanging out, flirting around. I
I
don't
have
know
a
if there was
photo.
ever
I have a photo.
specifically a
Sorry.
solid.
I was going to say, I have a photo. Um, Again, this kind of backtracks even more. So maybe it wasn't just all of a sudden. Maybe it actually did build up for quite some time. But freshman year, Halloween, I was dressed up as, was that Superman I dressed up as? Must have been. I have the photo anyway. But I remember you were dressed up as like I don't know, like a gypsy, I think it was. You had the blonde wig on. And for some
Blonde
reason,
hair,
I just
yeah.
thought that was so attractive. I was like, dang, she's super cute.
Well,
So, but
thank
then, yeah,
you.
again, like, that was years before we even started dating. So, I don't know.
Okay. Oh, I had fun around Halloween.
Yeah, I think
Halloween was fun.
Halloween's are always, like, some of the best times. Was there any highlights that stood out for you?
It's for Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
The haunted houses were phenomenal. I remember I would find myself painting other people's faces up for either skulls or, let's see, mostly skulls. Everybody wanted skulls, but I did a couple other things. I remember I did the Batman symbol one
Oh, yeah.
time
Yeah,
for
there's a few people running around with that on. What was your favorite
uh,
costume that you dressed up as?
I don't even remember them all. I don't even remember
I
them
might
all.
chuck some pictures up and,
Uh,
yeah, just for people to look at.
well, I can distinctly remember being like a pirate assassin. I enjoyed that one. And I also enjoyed the gypsy one. The gypsy one was fun because that wig really threw a lot of people off. Like
Who is this girl?
immediately walking the room, nobody like really recognized me. And then it was really fun to run up and like hug people and be like, hi. And then they're like, wow, who are you?
Yeah,
I
they,
remember I
yeah.
did that to a couple
That,
people and they were just floored.
Yeah,
That
Halloween,
was fun.
that was always, yeah, for me, yeah, each year that came around, that was always a big highlight. Um
Remember you were Snow White
I was, yeah.
beneath those apples.
Yeah. I was pretty proud of that one, not gonna lie. Deeper message, deeper
That
meaning.
was gold.
So I was Snow White for anyone who, well, wouldn't be able to put two and two together, but I was Snow White because I had basically developed a food intolerance, so I couldn't. Apples was something I couldn't eat, and I just thought, oh, Snow White, poison apple. Well, basically, I can't eat apples either, so there we go. There's the cute little message in that one.
It was very clever.
Um, what was the hardest thing that you had to face at college? Tough time.
Um, Pulling almost all nighters. No, they were all nighters. Pretty sure I stayed up like 2 days straight writing my art history final.
Yeah. Was that was that a habit that you had the whole time? Because I know later on you definitely did that more and more. It seemed like.
Oh, it got worse as time went on. Freshman year, I really tried not to procrastinate, but the further along I got, the worse it got. I think it was definitely something you saw more in the classes that I did not like or want to be in. I found them interesting enough, but I was like, I don't want to do this. Who wants to write a 20-page paper? Not I.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, well, you definitely don't want to do
but
it the night of slash morning of
night of.
when it's due.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have gotten an A on that project had I turned it in when it was supposed to instead of like 24 hours afterwards because I was staying up and hadn't been able to finish it in one night.
Yeah.
But, oops.
So going along from that, is there anything, if you could go back, is there anything that you would have done differently?
Oh, yeah. I suppose would have tried to be a little bit more on top of my homework. But I think looking back, my biggest regret probably about college was that I was so studious. I wish I had been like a little bit more, who really cares about this? Let me spend more time with the people that matter to me. I remember writing that art paper. I know everybody else, all the guys had gone to hang out with Kevin because he was leaving earlier than other people. And I know that I didn't get to hang out with him as much that particular year because I was procrastinating. And I think I wish that I had been able to spend more time with you guys.
Hmm. I
And I
think,
also wish that I'd like known myself a little bit better, gone to therapy more. I don't know.
hmm. Therapy for what?
Uh, I struggle with depression. It really started showing its face in college. Uh, so just learning how to work with and around that instead of just locking myself in my room a lot.
Hmm. Yeah, which, yeah. I mean, as we were dating, that was something that, well, ultimately was the reason kind of why we decided to break up was because, well, yeah, you just felt like you couldn't give to the relationship because you just felt depressed a lot of the time.
I really was. Right around then, it was probably that dang near some of its worst in college. Um, and I appreciated how Augie provided free therapy sessions, but it was, yeah, I had a hard time connecting at that point with anybody. I just kind of, everything was a little superficial for me at that point in time.
It was, well, I guess, well, I obviously spent a bit more time with you later on, but did you sort of have that throughout your whole time at Augie?
Yes, I know. Um, Freshman year, it wasn't as bad. Sophomore year, it started getting worse, and it just kind of was really bad. Senior year, I feel like just kind of progressively got worse.
And you still don't know where that kind of came from because it almost feels like it's not like, I don't know. It's yeah, not necessarily because you did say that it did start somewhere in high school, but we're not really sure exactly where or why.
Yeah, I can't pinpoint a specific time. I do, looking back, I can see that it was like in high school and stuff. And I mean, I still struggle with it now, and I still see like a therapist. And I think it's really important that I follow through with that a lot of times because when I'm not, it does affect a lot of my relationships. Even with my mom, I mean, it's not always pretty at home. If I'm not on top of it.
Yeah. Well, it's yeah, it's good that you do find it important to like stay on top of it the best you can, and it may not be still something that you're over, but you're definitely working towards it. So I think that's very important. So
Yep,
well done
we'll
you.
see. Thanks. It sounds great, but really, there's a lot of times where I'm just like, you could scrape me off the floor with like a pancake flipper, spatula,
Yeah.
floor, Sophia. Straight into the trash.
I think yeah, we'll take a quick little tangent because this is just I don't even know how many people I've told, if anyone, but there was this really weird day. It was sort of during the middle of winter. It would have been sophomore year because I was still playing basketball. We'd actually had the day off practice because I don't know, it got cancelled for some reason, which was very rare. That basically never happened. But it's always kind of a relief when practice is cancelled because it is pretty intense. So I remember being in the library and I was just doing some studying for the day to catch up on some stuff. But I remember that whole day I just felt super depressed. And I remember being like, I felt like a victim because I was like, there is absolutely no reason for me to feel depressed. And it's only ever been like that one off day where there was kind of no rhyme or reason for it. There's been plenty of days since where I haven't been feeling great, but there's been a lot more like circumstance that sort of is, I guess, why that would happen. But that particular day, it just felt like for no reason whatsoever. I just felt like just really I don't even know. Don't even know how to describe the
Stressed.
feeling, but depressed is basically probably the best way to describe it. But it was kind of gone the next day, so I don't know how relevant it is sharing that. But I just found it super interesting. I ended up writing a paper in one of I think it was a religion class. I ended up writing about 20-page paper about depression because I was just interested in finding more out about it after that experience. So, um,
Yeah, I mean, that's very nice of you to share. I think that's something that can help you like relate to other people. Like, I mean, for me, that's a lot of days are like that. There's no rhyme or reason as to why I'm depressed, why I feel like I do. And some days it's yeah, I feel sorry for myself. Other days I'm like, why do I feel so bad when other people like are thriving or other people have it worse than me even. It's like, those are the cliches. Like, why do I feel bad? But no rhyme or reason. Your brain just decides to not want to be happy. And you got to work really hard to know it.
yeah. So you got your degree. And what was your official? So you finished with major in Spanish, major in art. Did you have minors as well?
I had an entrepreneurship minor.
Entrepreneurship minor. There you go. See, this is an academic right here. Have you used that degree since?
Any of them or a specific one?
Has it been useful for you in the working life?
Not many. uh, sure. You can't unlearn things per se. My art definitely helps me in my current job.
Which is what?
Um, I am a design assistant at a company called New Spaces. They're a design build firm, and I get to work closely with everybody in the company actually. So that engages both art and entrepreneurship a little bit. So the company is a smaller company, meaning I get to help out with everything. I get to see the marketing side, I get to see the management side, the project control, the actual designing, the communicating with the clients and making sure they're happy, making sure things are ordered on time, and making sure that everybody in the company is like on the same track, that we're all following the same timeline. But I think it's really interesting because, I can have ideas and I appreciate that my company, they take things that I say and they're like, "Oh, yeah, maybe we'll think about that." It's not just like brush it off, but I'm a valuable member of the team there.
Amazing.
I do wish that I could work more with the designers and use more of my art and less of my entrepreneurship, I
Yeah,
think, but I'm glad that I have both. I think that they're both able to help me, and everybody at the company is willing to work with me. So
amazing. And
that's what I do, and that's how much yourself
you had to do some further studying to get that job too.
did. I went back to school for design. It was not mandatory. You do not have to go to design school for to become a designer by any means. A lot of people actually don't, I think. Not necessarily the best, kind of like teachers that weren't formally taught how to be teachers. Um,
And so, because that was a
but
college
I
you're at?
I went to Century College, which is the college my brother went to. It's a local community college. He obviously was doing other things, but I zeroed in on their kitchen and bath design course, and I got certified in kitchen and bath design. Um, as you know, kitchens and bathrooms are some of the most highly used rooms in a house, and they need to function and flow properly. You gotta learn a little bit of plumbing, a little bit of electrical, and space management, distances. You get to learn code,
Really?
walkway
That's a very,
distances.
very practical skill to have, I think. Because everyone needs a bathroom, everyone
Yeah.
needs a kitchen.
hmm I think for me, a little bit was going back to what is a career that I can put myself in where I'm helping people. And at the same time, I'm able to use my art and my skills. And in this way, I can give my artistic opinion. I can help stage homes for showcases, which we're actually doing one this weekend. Super fun, super fun. The luxury home tour. Um, and we're mad dash decorating this house. We'll see how it goes. But being able to help people create their dream homes or just even make a space more functional for them with their busy lives and their families, it I feel like it's a good way to help people, you know. Not everybody can move houses. They're be like, oh, we're just gonna relocate to this bigger and better house. Well, sometimes we have to make do with what we have, but let's make it better. And that's something that New Spaces does for people. We change lives.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And in the process, we meet a lot of wonderful clients and we create wonderful relationships with them. A lot of New Spaces clients from before I started continue to come back to New Spaces events and engage with us and continue to recommend us to other people because they appreciate how we've made these connections with them and changed their lives.
Terrific. So you think it was all worth it then? The college at Augie and also the further studies?
Sure.
Sure.
Yes. For my current position, yes.
Is there somewhere else you want to
Sometimes I
be?
wonder, sometimes I wonder, like, maybe if I just held on and stuck out a couple more miserable chemistry courses, if I could be an optometrist, you know, and then 4 more years of school. But I
That
do
doesn't sound
wonder a
fun.
lot. Yeah, that doesn't sound fun, but I wonder sometimes if that would have been a career where I could engage with people more in the level that I want to. But sometimes I don't know if design is even the right path that I want to continue to follow. I often I'm looking at welding classes right now. I'll be honest. I'm looking at welding classes. I know when I graduated, they're all like, "Oh, what are you gonna do?" I was like, "I have no idea. Maybe I want to look into like even right after graduating, I was potentially looking at different schools. I wanted to look more into the arts, so like stonemasons and metalworking, cast iron. I wanted to be more in a niche market, I think,
Hmm.
but."
Well, I think
So I'm
from
still looking at schooling.
from my perspective, it seems like you, well, yeah, just your artistic ability and your creativity, I feel like, is what kind of sparks your curiosity. And that's also probably your driver to learn as well. And that's why you maybe don't want to
Mhm.
settle into this design job because, yeah, there's other skills to learn, like welding and other niches to go down.
It's not that I regret any of the classes I've taken. I'm really happy that I have, and I wouldn't unlearn anything if I had the opportunity. I want to keep learning. I want to learn more skills, be able to do more things. I think what's something that's important to me.
That's great. And to finish off, If there was someone thinking about going to college, what would you say to them?
Well, your studies are important and you should keep your grades up. Don't procrastinate, but make sure you spend time with the people that are important to you. The people you meet in college could be lifelong friends, and you don't want to lose that. It's a wonderful, wonderful world to be in with the same people that you love.
Very well said. I think that's a perfect way to end it. Thank you, Sofia Preciado, for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.